Hello, and welcome to Taking Notes with Apple. My name is Kate Mosley, and I'm an AT specialist. I am a task employee that contracts with STAR to provide AT webinars and trainings. You can view these trainings at www.startraining.org. This PowerPoint will be available for you to review the notes. If you have any additional questions or an idea for a presentation you'd like me to do, please email tasc@ucphuntsville.org. So before we get started, let's review a little bit about TASC and STAR. TASC stands for Technology Assistance for Special Consumers. We do AT consultations, informal sessions, and technical assistance. We also have a lending library where you can check out our equipment for 2 to 3 weeks. This equipment includes everything from switches, computer keyboards, communication aids, and adaptive toys, and more. STAR is Alabama's assistive technology resource. AT for All is their lending library. It's an online database that provides current inventory of AT and medical equipment. You may also post want ads for items that are not listed. These items can include wheelchairs, scooters, shower bath aids, bedside commodes, hospital beds, walkers, canes, ramps, lifts, and more. So a little overview about what we're going to be going over in this presentation. We are going to be going over notes and pages for Apple products. As a small note, things may look different in newer versions. This was filmed in 2016, so please take note of what version of software you are working with. Please check out our computer access module at startraining.org for more information on computer access features, but in general, the Apple accessibility features include VoiceOver, which reads the screen, that's a text-to-speech program, Zoom, which can magnify a portion of the screen or the entire screen, high contrast, that's changing the visual appearance of the screen, so making whites brighter and darks darker. And last but not least, dictation, which is speech to text. Again, check out our computer access module for more information about the accessibility features in Apple products. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and start with iOS Notes. iOS Notes is a program that comes standard with all Apple devices. So this will come up as an app on your phone or your iPad, and it will come up on your computer as well. The benefit of iOS Notes is that you can draw with different tools. You can see here I have made a doodle of a heart with an arrow through it, just being a little silly with my doodles, but it was meant to demonstrate the different types of tools you can use on drawing. So let's say you're drawing a cell in biology. You can draw a cell with all of its aspects in different colors with different types of pens. So you have a harsher pen for outlines, a softer pen for different colors, lots of options there with drawing. You can also add pictures from your camera roll or access the camera and take a picture live. This would be great if we're working in physics and the professor draws up a physics diagram on the board. You can go up and take that picture or draw it with the drawing tool, but it might be nice to have a live picture of the board already put into your notes. You can also write your own notes. You can see I wrote check mail. That is done in my own handwriting with my finger on the screen. You have that action as well. The benefit of notes is that it connects to the iCloud. This means that a note I take on my phone will also show up on my computer. That also works vice versa. If I'm typing a note on my computer, I can access it from my phone. This is great if you might need portable notes. So if someone is maybe taking notes in class but would like to access their notes maybe while they're on their way to work or while they're on their way to class, they can do that from their phone. That's very beneficial how portable it is. You can also do different types of lists. So here you can see I wrote the word headings in bold. You have different types of bold fonts and headings and titles that you can use in your notes. You can also do lists. You can see here I made a bulleted list, a dash list, or a number list. One of my favorite lists is the check boxes. So you can make a list with empty circles and then tap to check the box off. This would be really great for groceries or a step-by-step task that you may need to do. So, perks of iOS Notes. Again, as I said, it's connected through all Apple devices. So, if you're a big Apple person and have an Apple computer, an Apple phone, and an Apple iPad, whatever note you take on any of those devices will show up on all of them. That's really great to keep everything in one place. You can draw pictures and snap photos to add to your documents. You have different list abilities, and it's very portable. This is compatible with dictation as well as voiceover. It will read, speaking, it will read what is on the text and read what you have written, which is very nice. So now I'm going to go ahead and do a little demo of iOS Notes. So we're going to start off with how to use Notes on the computer. After this, I'll show how to use Notes on portable devices such as an iPad and an iPhone, and how you can connect between your portable devices and your computer using Notes. So an overview of what we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about how to create and delete notes, accessibility in Notes, the menu bar in Notes, and note features. So to start, when you want to create a note, it'll appear in this column here. So you can see this is an example of notes. I already created that one. To create another note, you're going to tap on this symbol here. It's a square with a pencil in it. So by clicking on that, all of a sudden I have new note appearing in the note column, and I can go ahead and start typing. So there, now that'll be the heading of the note, and from there whatever I type will appear. So if I wanted to delete this note, I would click on that note and then touch the little trash can icon here at the top, and now it disappears. So if I am doing a bunch of notes that have a similar theme between them, like both of these notes are example notes, or if I was in class, if I was doing notes for science versus notes for math, I could put them in a different folder. So here at the bottom, you'll notice a new folder button. By clicking on that, I can create a new folder and call it maybe math. And then by going to my notes, I can highlight which ones I want to drag into the math folder. So there you go. Now accessibility and notes. Below this video, you'll notice two documents, one on how to use on-screen keyboard in Mac, and then how to use dictation in Mac, and that can walk you through how to get it all set up. But an example would be if I click on this note and bring down my keyboard, I have my on-screen keyboard and can type instead of using the physical keyboard down at the bottom of the computer. So that's useful, as well as dictation. So for me, I have the FN button. I push that twice, and a little microphone is going to appear in the bottom right corner. So now everything I speak will be translated into text on the screen, period. You can see it did a pretty good job of translating what I was saying. So those are the accessibility features that go hand in hand. Again, if you want to learn how to set those up and use it, please look at the documents below this video. So now I'm going to go over the menu bars here at the very top of the screen and here at the top of the window. So to start, this is the full screen viewer. If I want to hide my folders bar and make my note space bigger, I can do that by clicking on that icon. This icon allows me to have access to my attachments. So for some of them I did some drawings, so I can look at the different drawings I have. If I want to attach videos to my notes or photos, I can look at the list of videos and notes that I've attached, videos and photos I've attached to my notes. To get out of this, you need to click the 4 button icon again. So on and off, that's the best way to go about doing it. You have your delete button if you want to delete your note, your create a note button. You have these font buttons, which I'll go over in a little bit, and then you have a share button. So by clicking this button, I can send my note as an email, post it to Twitter, post it to Facebook, so on and so forth, even add it as a reminder in my reminder program on the Apple computers. In addition to all those, I have my font bar. So up here I have 3 icons. The first one that we're going to go over is the font icon. So here is my title to my note. It's bold, it's big. A heading is going to look a bit smaller, but still bold. And then the body is going to be a very simple text. And so that will show the differentiation between the different types of notes that you're taking. You can also make lists. So if I wanted to do a bulleted list, or I wanted to do a dash list, or even a number list, if that's what you prefer. I can also make check boxes. So let's say I'm going to the grocery store and I need to pick up, some vegetables. I can click on this make a checklist button and type in what I need to do, and then either on my iPad, which I'll demonstrate later, or on the computer, I can click and have those check on and off. You can also insert pictures into your notes. So by clicking on these 2 squares on top of each other, it'll bring me to my photo options on my computer. So I can go through my photo albums in my Photos program, or through Photo Booth. So these are pictures that I took with the camera on my computer. So just click and drag and my picture is up on the notes. Now, when I go back to my attachment, there it is right there. Now, to change the types of fonts in the program, you highlight the word you're trying to change, go into Format, and then Font. Here you can change it into bold, you can change it into italic, underline, do everything that you'd pretty much do with a normal word processor. You can also change the size of your font. These little symbols on the side here are great because those are buttons you can use to quickly change things. So if I highlight the word font, do Command I, it's going to go italic, or Command B, it's going to go bold. You can also change the positioning of your words. So if I want example to be in the middle of the note, I can change it to text, center, and now it's going to be in the center of that document. So it looks a little neater that way, in my opinion. So now let's go over iOS Notes on mobile devices. So I'm doing this from an iPad, but this also works on iPhones or iPods. So to start, I'm going to open my notes, and you're brought to a page very similar to the one on the computer. Here are my notes. Go to iCloud. So you can have notes. These are my note folders, so I didn't have anything in the note folder that was on the computer, but if I go into all iCloud, that means it's the connection between all of the devices I have connected on that iCloud program. So here you can see the note that I made before. So you can see I have my heading, my example, everything. There's my note right there. You also have the one I made earlier. So all of the ones that were on my computer are now on my iPad. If I was to make a new note by tapping up here in the corner, so you see the same little square with a pencil, it's up in the very top right hand corner. I can type new note. Oops. So now again, this would appear on my computer as well. So now I'm going to show you a little bit about the drawing and picture features. So if I would like to draw something, I tap the little squiggly line in the top right hand corner of the keyboard. Now I have the ability to draw whatever I want. So in this you have different markers. So let's say we were going to draw a star and we want it to be yellow. We draw that star and then maybe label it. Oops, excuse my terrible alignment, but you get the point. So you have many different tools so that you can get the kind of picture that you need. This would be great for diagrams, great for graphs, great for demonstrations or even drawing projects. You also have a very neat little ruler tool. So you can angle the ruler and make perfectly straight lines. So now I have a perfectly straight line on there. From here, you can share your image again if you want to share it to Facebook or if you want to share it in an email. You have that option, as well as erasing your whole project or just erasing part of it. You also have an eraser tool and many different color selections. So now I have my picture in my note. Now if I was going to take a physical picture, I can click on this little camera icon down at the bottom. I can choose from my photo library, so if I've taken a picture before I was in notes, or I can take a live picture at the bottom where it says take photo or video. So if I click on that, you can see I'm looking around the office and I can take a picture of whatever I need to and have it inserted into my note. So pretty much everything that I can do on the computer, I can do on the iPad as well. So if I wanted to change the font or the title or heading or body of this note, I can do that here. So by clicking on title, I can write the happy notes and then change it to a bulleted list and have my list going. I can also do my checklist. So back to if this would be great for a grocery list or for step-by-step instructions where someone can check off and uncheck what they've done. So from here I can check or uncheck just like you can on the computer. You also have the ability to cut, copy, and paste. So let's say I had something from the internet that I wanted to paste. I would go copy it, put it here, and go ahead and paste what I saw. Now if I would like to delete a note, up in the right hand corner next to where you can create a note, you can push delete and have it erased. So that was the iOS Note demo for both computers and mobile devices. Here are a few links to some good iOS Note resources. We have a note tutorial on how to use iOS Notes. So in case you have any additional questions that weren't answered in this tutorial, you are more than welcome to go back. I also wanted to quickly clarify, I forgot to mention that speech is enabled on Notes. That means if you highlight a sentence, right click, you can have it spoken out loud to you. So if you highlight the whole paragraph, right click speech selection, it will read out the entire paragraph. So let's move on to Pages. Pages is very similar to Microsoft Word. It is actually compatible with Microsoft Word. That means if your friend makes a Microsoft Word document, then sends it over to you to be edited, it will be compatible in Pages. You can open it up in Pages. A lot of the movements are the same, so you can make charts, you can make tables, you can add pictures, and all of that will translate smoothly between the two programs. So in this picture I have a few examples of things you can do with Pages. There are many different fonts from which to choose. As you can see, you can highlight, you can make comments, which I'll explain a little later on. You can make all kinds of graphs that are 3D and I think very visually appealing, as well as tables and even adding your own pictures. So the perks of Pages, you have the nice looking graphs as I mentioned. It's very easy to get started in. It's very user friendly. All the buttons are clearly laid out in front of you. There are sidebars and accessible menus. So if you notice, here is a sidebar that's focused on text, but you can have a sidebar here that's focused on pictures, so you can have all of your picture settings right there on the side. It has an iCloud connection, so similar to Notes, you can actually work on Pages on your iPad as well as on your computer. So there's a mobile version and a computer version, and the two will go back and forth. So things you do on the iPad will appear up on your computer. This is wonderful if you work on a desktop, but maybe take your iPad to take notes in class. The notes will be the same on both devices. And again, as I said, it's compatible with Microsoft Word. The disadvantage of Pages is that, like Microsoft Word, there are a whole lot of features for this one program, so it takes some time to learn everything. There are many tutorials online where you can find out all of the features about Pages. I'm just going to kind of go over the basics, but if you are interested in learning more, please check that out. I have some resources at the end. These programs are compatible with on-screen keyboards, dictation, Zoom, text-to-speech, and then even speech-to-text. So now I'm going to go over Pages demo on the computer, and then I'll show you a quick demo on the mobile devices on my iPad. So this is what the Pages icon looks like down here at the bottom, the orange pen with the paper behind it. That's our Pages app, and when we open it up, it looks something like this. So we are going to go over accessibility, the menu bar, and then about comments and tracking in Pages. So to start off, creating a new page document. So what you do is you go into File and hit New. Here in the File tab, you can also open one that you've done recently, as well as when you have a document, you are able to save the document or even export it as a PDF or something. So if you're trying to transfer a file, not all computers are necessarily compatible with Word documents, so it's sometimes a little easier to send it as a PDF. Anyways, let's open up a new document. You'll also notice that when I went to open a new document, you have different templates available. So you might want to get your essay report, so it'll leave room for your name and the title of the essay and then the body, or you can do things like resumes where it helps you form a template for the resume that you're working with. Anyways, we have our new page document up on the screen, and as I had mentioned earlier, it is compatible with the on-screen keyboard, dictation, and speaking. So at the bottom of this video, you'll notice some documents that you can read through to learn how to set up the speech to text, the dictation, and the keyboard. So if we click on our keyboard tab at the top, we get our on-screen keyboard and we can go ahead and type using our mouse. We can also use dictation. It's thinking down the bottom right hand corner. There we go. This is an example of dictation. Period. So it kind of got the first part of my speaking, which makes the sentence look a little silly, period. So click done for dictation. Also, if you are typing a sentence out, we'll go to the first page and you highlight it and you right click. You can go down to the speech tab, and from here you can have it speak what is highlighted.
There are many different fonts from which to choose.
So you can hear that it went ahead and spoke what I had highlighted. This would be really great if I wanted to highlight an entire paragraph. It would read out the entire paragraph. Anything that I highlight, it will speak out as long as it's text. So now let's review the menu bar up at the tops of the window here. So the first tab that we come up is View. So right now this is kind of your standard document viewing. Now I'll kind of go over this a bit more later, but this right here is a comment. I can have as many comments on this document as I like. If I want to be able to see all the comments in this document, I can open up this sidebar so that now I can see all of the comments in the entire document. You can also have it so that it shows the page thumbnails. This is kind of similar to PowerPoint, where if I had multiple pages, they would be listed in this sidebar and I could go through and see them in kind of a thumb version. For this demo, I don't really want either of those, so I'm going to go click on Hide. Let's exit out of that. For both of those, and now we're back to our regular document screen viewer. You'll also notice here that I have characters. I like to know how many words I write and how many characters I use, so you can have the word count come up. You can also hide the comments so that they're not being seen, or have them so that they're all over the page if you put them there. Zoom, so this is just going to magnify it even more, zoom in 400. I like to keep it at about 125 for my own viewing preferences, but again, that's up to you. So let's get started in the features of Pages. So to start, you have Insert. Here you can insert page breaks, section breaks, date and time, page number. This is really good if you're writing a report and you have multiple pages. You can also insert a table like the one I have here in the bottom By clicking on the Table tab, you can choose the kind of table do you want. Do you want the top to be darker and then the column to be darker, or would you rather just have it in this, you can choose between the different table types. So that pops up just like that. You can also create charts like the wonderful one I've made here. I think it is very graphically pleasing and has a cool 3D effect. If you prefer 2D graphs, they have those as well as interactive graphs. Here's where you will change the text and have a text box. So this is a text box where I can type a whole paragraph and it will be confined to this box. That's really good for reports if you're kind of adding that on to write what a certain diagram may be or something like that. Shapes and media, this is for inserting pictures as well as shapes. I use shapes a lot in some of my documents to circle or highlight a specific area. And here's what a comment is. So when you click on comment, it pops up. This is an example of a comment. So I can highlight and then comment on many different types of fonts from which to choose. Again, I can hide these or show them and have them all along in a bar next to my document. Oops, excuse me. Sorry about that. The alpha mark, mask, and paste style all have to deal with pictures. So if you click on a picture, you're able to take away color, you're able to crop it. That's up to you. Share is how you would share it between users. So if you've ever used Google Docs, you can share that link and have many people access the same document. You can do that with Pages as well. So I can send a copy of this or share it via iCloud. And so someone else who's working on a group project with me can also see this document and edit it. Here at the bottom, you'll notice accept, reject, and tracking. This is for other people that may be on the same document. They might have their words show up in a different color. Here you can accept their changes or reject their changes and even track what changes they make. So if they decide to delete this part of the document, it'll say that in a step-by-step column. Tips is a very useful thing. So when I click on the tips bar, I have these small yellow boxes pop up along the document. From here I can learn more about tracking, I can learn more about tips, I can learn more about using Pages in general. This is kind of your help button for most of the older softwares. Format, this is a sidebar that's going to pop up that's going to give you access to all of your text needs. So here's the layout of the document. Do you want indents? Do you need borders? And here's the style of the font. This is for bold, italics, underline, different things that you might use when writing. You can also change the color of the font and the font itself, as well as the alignment of where it is on the page. Document, so this is printing, this is the header and the footer, and this is the document margins. This is specifying more about the layout and orientation of the page. At the bottom bar here, you will notice a few buttons. You have the comment changer, so you can move between the different comments that I've created. You also have, this is the tracking bar. So you'll notice, okay, I deleted something from here. This is an example of a comment. I created that recently. So here's a step-by-step of what I've changed recently. We also have the highlighter. So if I want to highlight this section of my document, I can click on the highlight button to have it highlighted. So now let's go over Pages for the iPad. You'll notice it's a little orange app at the top right hand of this window. So we're going to go ahead and click on that and you'll be brought to a page similar to this one. You'll notice I have a Notes, Apps, Ideas and Lists folder and a blank document. So to make folders, similar to the way you make folders on the home screen of your iPad, you simply tap and hold down your document until everything starts shaking and then drag it over to that folder. Same way you will pull out if you want to bring it back out. To create a new document, you will tap the Create a New Document. Now from here, again, you have access to all your different templates. We're just going to go ahead and start with a blank document. So you'll notice here while I'm typing, this gray bar down here has given me options. That's word prediction. So whatever I type, it will remember what I type and then give me word predictions for what might come next. So I seem to put example of a lot, so that has popped up first on my word prediction list. Now, let's go over fonts. So if I would like to change the font of something, I simply highlight it, push select. So I did that by tapping on example and holding my finger there. And now I can push select, and here I can change the font. I can change the font size, I can change it to bold, italics, or underline, or I can even change the actual font. I can also change the orientation. Do I want this at the center? Do I want it to the right? Do I want it to the left? You can change that here as well. Now you'll notice that up at the top you have a few menu options. You can go back to your Documents page, so that is what this looks like. You can push undo, so if you had drawn a picture or if you had written out a long paragraph and you wanted to erase it, you can just click undo. You can also change the format here. So this is where you have your lists and your bullets. You can also change your layout. So how much line spacing do you want? If you're making a list, do you want more than one column? And you also have the style. So again, this is another place that you can change the font or underline or change the orientation of where you're writing, as well as, maybe starting with a title, then moving to a subtitle, then moving to a heading. You can change that all here. Adding the plus sign is where you can add in tables, charts, photos, and shapes. So here's your charts. This is very similar to the pages in the computer. It's actually exactly the same. Here's your charts. You can go to 2D, 3D, interactive. Here's where you would add shapes, and here's where you would add pictures from either your camera roll or your photo stream. This button is where you can use to share via iCloud. As I had mentioned before, if you'd like to share between different users, they can write in different colors. You can track what changes they've made. And to do that, the first step would be to share it using either a copy or sending it through the iCloud. Last but not least, here are your settings. This was probably what you would have noticed is the lower bar in Pages. You can search for things here, change tracking, so do you not want to track all your movements or do you? The document setup and layout, as well as setting a password. So if you have little children who are working a lot on your iPad and you don't want them accessing your documents, you could set a password so that only you can open it, as well as sending things to the printer. This is also where you can find help like the tips that we saw earlier on the computer. So now I've demoed both Pages on the computer and Pages on your iPad. So here are some resources for you with Pages. You have Pages support, so if you have any questions about something that's not working or you're having a lot of difficulties, make sure to check the tip buttons first, but if you still can't find it, you can contact Pages support. Creating a chart in Pages and tracking changes in Pages. Those are two features that are a little different with each program, so it's important to go if you have more questions to look and see how to do that. So if you have any questions about this presentation or have an idea for a presentation you'd like me to do, please email me at tasc@ucphuntsville.org. If you also need any help with any kind of assistive technology, I can provide webinar trainings on that type of technology. Please also just go ahead and send me an email. Thank you very much for listening.